Hello, my name is Johann Gregor Mendel. I was born in 1822 and I died in 1884. I am often called the father of genetics. I was a teacher, lifelong learner, scientist, and a man of faith. It would be fair to say that I had a lot of grief. I persevered through difficult circumstances to make some of the most important discoveries in biology. Today, I will explain some of my experiments with pea plants. In one experiment, I cross-pollinated smooth yellow pea plants with wrinkled green peas. Every single pea in the first generation crop, which is marked by F1, was a yellow and as round as the yellow round parent. Somehow, yellow completely dominated green and round dominated wrinkly. With this, I discovered there are two kinds of traits, dominant and recessive. In this case, the dominant is the color yellow and round shape, and the recessive is the color green and wrinkly shape. Another discovery is that the inheritance of each trait is determined by units or factors, now called genes. The different forms of these genes now are called alleles. I continued with the experiment and planted seeds from all yellow, all round crop achieved from the parent generation and self-pollinated the grown-up plants. I could observe that most of the second generation, marked as F2 of peas, were yellow and smooth, but some were green or wrinkly. I repeated the experiment many times, and the F2 generation consistently had a 3:1 ratio of yellow to green and round wrinkly. I gave letters to each dominant and recessive trait. Y, dominant yellow color; G, recessive green color; R, dominant round shape; W, recessive wrinkly shape. The pollination process of the offsprings get one trait unit or gene from every parent. In this case of color, the possible combinations are GY, YG, YY, or GG. Three combinations from the four, which are GY, YG, or YY. These give yellow offsprings, since all of them possesses at least one Y, which is yellow, dominant unit. Only the combination of the four, which is GG, will give green offsprings, since it has two recessive units. In conclusion, a dominant trait needs only one trait unit from one of the parents, and the recessive one needs two from both parents, in order to prevail. That is the reason why the ratio between occurrences of the dominant trait and recessive traits is 3:1. The same explanation applies to the shape traits. Thanks to my experience on pea plants, I finally discovered the fundamental laws of inheritance, which are: first, the law of segregation. Each inherited trait is defined by a gene pair. Parental genes are randomly separated to the sex cells, also known as gametes, so that they contain only one gene of the pair. Of rising, therefore, inherit one genetic allele from each parent when sex cells unite in fertilization. Second, the law of independent assortment. Genes from different traits are sorted separately from one another so that the inheritance of one trait is not dependent on the inheritance of another. And third, the law of dominance. An organism with alternate forms of a gene will express the form that is dominant. To discover the three laws, I used an important instrument called the Punnett square, a diagram to predict the outcome of genetic cross. Let me show with my own experiments. In the pea plants, there was the trait of tallness and shortness. Tallness represented by the capital letter T as the dominant, and shortness represented by the small letter t as the recessive. The F2 cross created a mixture of tall and short plants, which leads to that there were combinations of these two alleles. This cross is called monohybrid because we are analyzing the trait of size of the plants. The combination like capital TT and small tt is called homozygous because they are identical alleles, but the combination of capital T and small t is called heterozygous because they are two different alleles. This can show segregation because of the short allele was separated from the tall allele. Looking at the trees of yellow, green, round and wrinkle and the results of the F1 plants, we can determine that they are heterozygous for two genes. This means that the organisms have two different alleles for the same gene, and these plants are called the hybrids. We can see the combinations in the Punnett square. This Punnett square is an example for the inheritance law, because we can see how the genes of traits of color and shape of the plants could segregate independently during the formation of gametes. I hope this information was helpful for you to understand better my work.